sounds like it's working. Is it working? All right, good deal. So I was reading, learning, and then I noticed security. Looked like a lot of fun. It was right up my alley, obviously, having the security mindset of being in the infantry. So that's what I pursued. As soon as I got back from Afghanistan, I got out and went to school. While I was in school, I obtained my Security Plus, and I got an opportunity at Rook Security to be a security analyst. So I jumped on that as quickly as possible, moved the family up here to Indianapolis, and from there I progressed onto a team lead position. While I was holding a team lead position, I obtained my GCIA, scored well enough for the mentorship and advisory board. Haven't done any mentorships yet, but looking forward to when that opportunity comes along. And then now I currently hold a security operations manager at Rook Security. So a lot of fun, a lot of opportunities, and a lot of hard work kind of got me to this point. And that's kind of what I'm going to be overviewing throughout the slides here. So what does it take to be a grunt? That foundational knowledge. It's kind of surprising sometimes, you know, candidates that we get in that even have bachelor's degrees that kind of missed out. I don't know whether it's the schooling or maybe the dedication, missed out on these core networking foundations that I learned from rereading the first 3 chapters of the CCNA over and over again, right? So learning your protocols, it's important. You don't need to know all of them, right? But how many students do we have in the room? Okay, a few. Any prior military either? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna, if I start saying something that might sound like acronyms or military related, you don't understand it, just raise your hand. I'll go ahead and talk about it. I don't want to leave anybody out in the cold here. So learning those protocols is important. You know, TCP, IP, DHCP, DNS. Learn how those work. It's basic, and it'll help you later on whether you go into security or not. IP addressing. It's kind of it's not funny, but it is funny at the same time. IP addressing is a basic skill. You should know the difference between RFC 1918 and you know, a public IP address, right? So those are basic core foundational skills that you need. Port numbers, I always harp on this because analysts, you know, they think they can just Google it, right? Well, that's minute, maybe minute and a half, as you know, Googling. Whereas you memorize those top 15, top 20 SSH, you know, 21, 22, 23, 443, 80. You memorize those basic ones, and it'll make for your analysis a lot easier in the future. And like I said before, RFCs, just dig back into them. Also pick a programming and a scripting language. I personally started off with C++, and I dug into that hard, and that was in school. In my spare time, I do a few lines of code at a time, because like any other language, it's perishable, right? Whether you know Spanish, French, Perl, or Python, if you don't use it day in and day out, you're gonna forget it. So you know, use your spare time to write a few lines of code and build that foundational skill there, which will help you dramatically in instant response cases and just day-to-day scenarios. Pick your preference on your operating system and your language, of course. When it comes down to it, operators are subject matter experts in a certain specific area. This is driving me crazy, sorry. In a specific topic or area, and some of that may be operating system based. If you run across a instant response scenario where you know, it's Windows Server 2012 and you're the Windows guy, well, who's your team going to turn to? They're going to turn to you for answers. Or if it's a CentOS machine and you're the CentOS guy, you know, they're going to turn to you for answers for proper configuration, for logs, etc. I personally start off with, probably like everyone here, Windows, right? And later on moved on to Ubuntu, and just recently I'm really digging into CentOS because it seems more of like a hardened platform down to the kernel level, right? Still learning a lot about that, but that's the next area that's where I want to be, right? So learning, picking that up front is important. And I think this is one of the most important parts, is learn to work as a team. In the Army, you're taught this from the beginning. As soon as you get into boot camp, you're paired up with somebody, and you're both getting destroyed to accomplish a mission, whatever the task may be. And when you fail, when one person fails, you both fail. And that's how a team works. So you need to learn to collaborate, work with a team member. This will not only help you work with different personality types later on in the future, but it'll also help with just learning to work with people. I know in the InfoSec world, or the IT period, there's a lot of introverts. People don't really like conversating with others, but ideas are best served in groups, right? I mean, you bring an idea to a group, 2 or 3 people are going to have 4 different ways to take that idea, and take advantage of that opportunity, because they're going to, expand your mind. You're not going to be in this single-laned mentality. Creativity is also important. And this goes back to the, I bring this back to the programming and scripting portion. So creating tools is a lot of fun, and it's, sparks that creativity. Even if it's a basic tool that, recursively pulls through a list of IP addresses and grabs the who is data out of it. I mean, simple things like that, they get you started, they get you going, they get that creative flows. And next thing you know, you're modularizing that into a incident response tool that not only does that, but also does some log parsing on the side for an IIS or whatever the case may be. So, be creative, make something, put it up on GitHub or multiple other places to collaborate and build those scripts. Okay, so what do you need to do? And obviously, like I said before, understanding these core basics is required. You'll never get to that level if you don't have these basics down pat. And there may be more, and you guys might have some ideas to put in on this, but I personally think that if you don't know this, you're not going to get to that level of an operator. You're not going to get past the basic analyst. Read, like I said before, I read and read, and I continue to read. Sometimes fall asleep reading, right? And then read some more. And when you're done with that, continue to read. If the little bash script. I can't express it enough. Read. So here's some suggestions on reading. This is kind of basic, get you up and going. Practice of network security monitoring. Great book. Kind of got these out of order. I think the practical packet analysis is probably better served first. It references a lot of RFCs, and it'll get you going on really looking at what's going on. What are those bits and bytes looking like when they cross the wire? How does OSI model actually work? Where is HTTP working, and how does it get to down to the NIC? These are important foundational skills. And moving on to the practical packet analysis, practice of network security monitoring to really hone in on, where does my IPS should be placed, and if I put it here, am I going to be able to see the traffic that I'm trying to really get to? And in any book on protocols, Network Warrior, I think it's O'Reilly, TCP/IP guide, it's No Starch, and any CCNA book, they'll get you those foundational protocol understanding. It's a little bit more technical, but I think the TCP/IP guide is a more visual one, a little bit easier to take in there. And in the SANS reading room, I try to at least once a month read a white paper from the SANS reading room. And it doesn't matter what it is, just pick something. Because understanding is really negligible up front. You're going to read it and you're going to be like, what the hell is this, right? Read it again. And if you don't understand it then, it's fine, move on. You'll come across a situation later on that'll just click. It'll just come in and you're like, oh man, that makes perfect sense. So don't be overwhelmed up front if you're digging into a protocol or digging into a scenario and you don't know what you're doing, because it'll come. And don't quit. And I think that's what this portion is really about. Is, you're not going to understand it, but it doesn't mean you should just completely throw it away and say, I just don't get that. I'm not even going to deal with it anymore. You can move on, but always keep that understanding there. Have a little ADD, jump around. It's really easy in the IT world, and it's cool because there's so many different topics and so many different directions you can take your security or even IT career. Having a little ADD is not a horrible thing. Learning how different tools interact with each other, different protocols interact with each other is a lot of fun. And I mean, even taking it to the social engineering or the open source intelligence portion, path, it still can tie you back right into the core, technical skills, and it's a lot of fun. So have a little ADD, it's okay. Oh yeah, and read some more. So this is a problem this is not a problem in the IT or the security industry, is sharing of information and ideas. I think we're doing a great job here. It's a little bit tougher when you get into client data, right? And when you get into client data and trying to share that special incident with the rest of the world, you see IP addresses, passwords, usernames, things of that nature. It makes it a little bit tougher, and that is a problem area that I know a lot of industries are trying to help out with. I can't think of any offhand here, but there's a lot of opportunities for sharing of information. So do the same. Whether that go down to a forum, answering a question, up to providing your experience when responding to a specific incident, and the tools that you use and the ideas that you had. It gives other people an opportunity to look outside the box, and maybe somebody else could give you the return the favor by providing another outside perspective there. So practice along with reading. There's a lot of challenges, and I personally push these on my analysts regularly. Is incident response challenges, providing gigs of logs and packet captures, and what happened, who did what, to where, to when. Each and every one of these, the handler's diary is really good. Old honeypot challenges are excellent as well. I know they stopped those due to people misusing those honeypots for illegal downloading and stuff like that. It can push that out again in a packet and reassemble the new Batman or something, right? So take advantage of those. And vulnerable VMs, is penetration testing the direction you want to go? I think vulnhub.com will pretty much get you the VM you need. You want to practice SQL injection, buffer overflows, cross-site scripting, whatever the case may be. I'm sure they have it for you. So that's another good resource there. Something I like to live by is learn, do, teach. So you learn the topic, you put it into action, you do it with your hands, get into it, and then teach somebody else. When you teach someone else, they're going to have almost like an infant's eyes to whatever you're showing them, right? And they're going to give you a perspective that you would have never thought about, and that's learning experience as well. But also teaching someone also shows that you've mastered that specific topic or area there. Finally, opportunities. I say I got an opportunity with Rook Security up front. I was expecting, years of administration, Windows admin or network admin in order to crawl my way up into the security realm. I saw an opportunity, I took it. And it didn't matter, what the monetary gains were, whatever the scenario might be. If you see an opportunity, take it and learn from it. You're only going to grow with experience. And the bottom line is, a lot of security companies are looking for that experience. And if you take advantage of those opportunities, you'll obtain that experience along with, I can't even express how much I've learned in that time period just by, taking that first step and just going for it, seeing what happens and seeing what happens on the other end. And find your passion, right? I'll list off a few areas that I think incident response teams need, and the bottom line is finding that passion and digging into it. I think anything that you do that you're passionate for, you're going to be great at. So find it and massage it and enjoy it, and that's where the ADD comes in. You got to put your fingers in all the pies to find out which one tastes the best, right? Everybody else may not like that, but regardless. So, and some don'ts. Don't be a script kiddie, right? Don't take somebody else's code and call it your own, or rock it out and think, man, I'm a lead hacksaw, or a Metasploit is it's a great tool for seasoned professionals or pen testers that are working and they don't have time to build that exploit that Rapid7 so kindly have already provided for us. If you can run Metasploit, that's cool, that's great. But if you don't know what's going on in the back end, you don't know how that vulnerability is being taken advantage of, you're not a lead hacksaw yet. Sorry to break it to you. It's a great tool. I use it. I like it. But understand how it's working first, and then we'll talk about it. And don't ask questions about reading the manual, right? And this kind of bleeds over to the problems section. Is a lot of newcomers like to ask questions, and that's great. Questions are excellent. They're a great way to learn. But if you don't put any effort forth, the person you're asking the question to they're gonna see it. They're gonna know because they've already spent the hours Googling, trying to find that nugget of truth there. So before you ask questions, make sure you ask an intelligent question, and you'll get an intelligent response there. So that's important. I want to kind of pause there for any questions anyone might have, or comments or anything like that while I'm still in the mindset here. No? Cool. All right, some problems. I think there's a lot of direction lacking in the InfoSec community. Like I said before, there's so many different directions to take. There's really that lack of guidance of where the end goal is. A lot of that lies on the newcomer, right? So where do a question I get a lot is like, what certification should I take next? Or what certification should I take first? And although that's a great question, but ultimately it comes down to, well, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? Do you want to be doing do you want to be an incident handler? Is that what you want to do, is taking those raw logs and dig through them and find that nugget and whatever the case may be, or be a pen tester? Do you find that exciting or a lot of fun? So those are the questions that need to be answered up front by a new person, or a newcomer into the InfoSec community is, well, where do I want to go? So you need to spend those time building those foundational skills and putting your fingers in those pies, and then you can start coming into questions about maybe certifications. I think it's more, when I talk about certifications, I'm always like back and forth on it. And it's really, bottom line is what you get out of it. You can have the longest list of certifications, and that's great. But did you retain any of that? You know, is it anything that you really find? Did you find that did you have fun while you were doing it, or did you just do it to get the 3 or 4 letters in your signature, right? So I'm always back and forth on that. I always try to make sure I express to people that, you know, you go for the certification, that's great, and use that as a, you know, a springboard on other topics, or, you know, really dig into it. Don't just take it just to get a certification. Take it to learn. Patience. This goes on both sides. So I notice that a lot of professionals even lack the patience to take the time to teach somebody something new, and I also see newcomers don't have the patience to wait. You know, it's going to take time to get to that level, and you know, everything, you want it all now, right? You can't read enough books. You can't take enough tutorials. You can't learn enough in the shorter period of time. So patience. You know, stop. You know, it's okay on both ends. You know, we need professionals that take the time, stop, take 10 minutes of their day to learn something new. We need the newcomers to stop and take a perspective. Have that perspective of, you know, it's going to take time for me to get to the level that I really want to be. Smug. So I primarily see this in forums, right? Somebody asks a stupid question, you just lay into them, right? We hammer them. I think we're getting better here. I see a lot of admins taking action and either, you know, shutting down the post or pulling out that comment, which is great. You know, I just need to remind people that, hey, read the manual up front. Come back in about a day or two when you got an intelligent question, right? We don't need to be hammering people and you know, turning our backs to people just because they're new and they're learning. We have a lot of chiefs, and I think that's a big thing in InfoSec, is everybody wants to be that elite hacksaw, right? Everybody wants to be the man, but everyone can't be the man, right, or the analyst. It's okay to take the back seat and let somebody else drive in certain circumstances, and learn from that experience. In order to be a good leader, and this goes back to those core, like, military, can't think of the word here, you have to be a good follower, or you have to learn to follow before you can be a great leader. And I take that to heart. You know, you need to allow people to take charge and know when to be humble and to step back. So I think it's more of a shout out to, you know, professionals to, you know, let other people lead. It's okay, and especially new guys coming in, let them take that point. Let them learn that experience. Let them fail. It's okay, as long as they're failing forward and they're not repeating that mistake. And then some common phrases I hear in IT in general is I can't, or I don't know, or not my problem, impossible. These are not phrases that I understand coming from a military background. I understand that certain circumstances, something might be impossible, but think of a way around it. Now get creative, jump around, brainstorm the situation. This really bothers me when I hear these key phrases come up in a conversation. It makes me want to get physical, and I've got too big of a belly now to get physical, so we need to really stay away from these. I think this goes right in line. Problems cannot be solved by the same level of thinking that created them. This goes right into those little mindsets that I was talking about just now. Any questions or comments there? No? Cool. Yep. So like coming from Amazon or attacking Amazon? Mm-hmm. Right, so I don't know Amazon's policy like up front. but I'm pretty sure the application itself is fair game. But the box that it lies on, probably not. Cool. Right. I know we had to apply the same thing coming from Amazon because we have put some applications up for testing, and Amazon shut us down from their end, and the consent form kind of let that through. I think it's kind of frustrating if you're going to do an instance dedicated to that. Mm-hmm. Consent form only for a certain period of time. You can't be like, it's going to be permanent. A renewal period. Is that pretty typical for most cloud platform providers? I don't know. I've done a lot on Azure, and they haven't shut it down. So I don't know. I think all those cloud providers, they start off like just do what you want, and then they're like, oh wait, hold on, calm down a second. So Azure is a little bit newer. So give them 6 months. They're like, okay, hey, you got to stop that, please. You know, cool. So, what is an operator? Bottom line is they're leaders, right? They're mentors. They provide direction, and they lead by example. These are kind of the core, foundational. I keep saying that, but built from the military this is what a leader does on a daily basis. They don't one day decide, I'm going to be a mentor today, but not tomorrow. It's every day. You're always providing direction. You're always leading by example. It's not do as I say, not as I do. It's do as I say and do as I do. I'm going to apply the same rules and restrictions to myself as I would you. So being a leader is being an operator. Here. They're game changers, right? They make the difference. When you pull in an operator, you know it's game time. They're gonna make the difference there, and they live it. You know, security. It's not your job where you work. Might be 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever the case may be. But security is not. You know, new exploits are coming out daily, hourly. Hacks go down at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're getting a phone call, you know, whatever the case may be. But you're not stopping your job. I don't see security as it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's a lifestyle. You live it day in, day out. You're reading about it. You're trying something out new. You're up till 2 in the morning because you can't get your script to work, right? You know, people live this day in and day out. And I think that's what really makes an operator great is, you know, spending that extra time building those skills and just getting better and better and better. And it's a lot of fun too, personally. I find it a lot of fun. My wife doesn't like me up till 2 in the morning, but I do. So these are the 18 series, if you will. 18 series is the Special Forces MOS indicators there. So I think these are the 6 that pretty much cover all aspects of a security team. They have forensics, you know, somebody that's really good at getting in and building those timelines and waiting hours for that hard drive to spin. I've done a little bit of forensics, and I know my eyes hurt and my head hurt after a few hours. I need somebody that's just hot on programming and scripting, right? If you have a development team in-house or have a friend that's a developer, they may not be directly into security, but you give them those ideas, they'll be able to build you some magical tool that you've been trying to do in Python for the last 6 months, right? We need data analysts. We have a lot of information, a lot, and trying to consume it and parse it and show it off, it can get pretty tough and another mind-numbing task, but some people just love crunching numbers, right? So we need those data analysts. Threat intelligence, another great one. I think this one's kind of up and growing. I know that there's a few talks here at CirclecityCon regarding open source intelligence. There's the threat intelligence, open source intelligence, kind of bleed there, right? Threat intelligence can be looked at more of, where's my threat, where are my vulnerabilities, et cetera. And the open source intelligence kind of feeds directly into that. They're watching the forums, they're watching Pastebin, looking for those pasted Mmap scan of one of your client's networks, right? That's a lot of fun. Not as highly technical needed there, but more analytical thinking, and really everything is suspicious, right? Having that mindset that everything I see, there's something wrong with it. Guilty until proven innocent. That's the way I treat all my packets, and that's how our threat intelligence team treats all the information they receive. Incident handlers and penetration testing. Having a little bit of, like I said, ADD and going through some of these will not only give you an opportunity to identify where your passion is, but also see how they all really interact and intertwine. Having a team of six analysts on these levels, subject matter experts who you can turn to, will really make the difference when responding to that major incident. So moved a little bit quickly. Does anybody have any questions? Or here, go ahead.
Are you seeing more of a trend that companies hiring people more based on the time and effort that they put in on learning the skills versus the certifications themselves?
So I can't speak for a trend, but I can speak I'm the hiring manager at Rook. And one thing I look at, and I always think those foundational skills that I talk about, those can be taught, right? They're cut and dry, white and black. But what you're not going to be able to teach somebody is passion. You're not going to be able to teach them work ethic. So my main area of focus is work ethic and passion. Seeing that one of the questions I ask regularly is like, what do you do after work? What are you reading? What blogs are, I don't expect you to name, I have, 100 and something blogs in my RSS feed. I can't name every single one of them, right? But they're, I would expect someone to be able to answer that question with even a couple and just name off recent attacks and things like that, because you're not going to learn from just reading a book. You're going to have to read what's going on, boots on the ground, who's doing what now, you know what I mean? So I don't know about the trend, but I can tell you we hire for more passionate individuals rather than technical experts up front. And also it depends on the scenario. What are we hiring for too? A tier 1 analyst, we're looking for that passion. Tier 2, tier 3 might be a little bit more technical, well, significantly more technical when you get into tier 3, because the expectation is you're going to jump in and dig in. You'll be able to knock it out. That answer? Cool. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So I got done a little bit early. But cool.